Great new day to all my self-care family and friends. Welcome back to the Room2Breathe Podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach 614, and I am grateful that you are here, tuning in, showing up for yourself, and making space for you to breathe. Whether you're walking, cleaning, driving, or just sitting in the stillness, know that this moment is sacred. You're not here by accident. You're not listening to this by coincidence. There is something in your spirit that showed up here today ready to receive. So let's take a moment to just exhale and be thankful that we made it to another day. Now, before we dive into today's episode, I want to invite you to just slow down and really be here with us. If you're feeling the vibe already, go ahead, tap that screen, like, comment, share this episode out. Be sure to send it to someone else who's in their healing season, someone who might need a reminder that they're not crazy for changing, that they're not selfish for choosing themselves, and they're not weak for walking away from what no longer fits them. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and hit that follow button, subscribe to our channel, so that way you never miss a moment of what's next. I also invite you to head over to our website at theselfcareclub.org. There you will find some motivational merch, some affirmative apparel, healing music, and some soul work tools to carry you every step of the way. Now, let's jump into today's episode titled, I'm Not Who I Was, and That is the Blessing. I feel like that's a whole word by itself, right? I'm not who I was, and that is the blessing, right? This, episode is for the ones who are feeling like they've outgrown their silence, outgrown their shame, outgrown survival mode, right? The ones that are starting to realize that peace feels better than people pleasing, that boundaries don't make you mean, they make you whole, that soft doesn't mean weak, and that joy doesn't need explanation. Kale said yes, right? So today I want to say something that maybe nobody has told you lately. I want to just simply remind you that you are not who you were, right? You are not who you were. And that's the blessing. See, you don't move like you used to. You don't beg like you used to. What up, best friend? You don't break like you used to. You don't tolerate the same energy. You don't explain your worth to people who don't value it. And maybe that makes other people uncomfortable, right? Heck, maybe it makes you uncomfortable. Maybe you've been tempted to shrink again just to feel safe. But today, I'm here to remind you that this version of you is worth protecting. This version of you deserves to be celebrated. This version of you is the fruit of the healing that you did in the dark. So I want you to exhale. I want you to understand that there is no going back. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're evolving. And baby, peace looks good on you. Okay? So let's just get ready to breathe it in. Let it go. Right? Because you are not who you used to be. And that is the point. You're not supposed to be. We're supposed to grow. We're supposed to evolve. Right? That's the blessing. And despite what the world tells you, despite what your past might try to whisper to you, it's not a loss. It's not a flaw. It's not a betrayal. It's a blessing. Because the woman you used to be, the man that you used to be, they were doing their best, right? You were holding it all together with nothing but a prayer and a shaky smile. right? You were showing up for everyone else while secretly wishing that somebody would notice how tired you were. You kept keeping secrets, swallowing the pain, surviving storms that no one even saw coming. And that version of you, right? You deserve a standing ovation. You deserve your compassion, right? That version of you that survived that, they deserve that love, that grace. But you have to understand that that version of you is not your final destination. And I know that it can be scary to admit that, right? Because sometimes we get so used to our struggle that we begin to wear it like skin. We don't just get attached to people, we get attached to patterns, to pain, to personas, to the idea of who we thought we were supposed to be. But you are allowed to evolve. Seasons change, right? Why can't we? So let me say this again to the person in the back who's still shrinking to make themselves digestible. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to move different, to walk away from what doesn't honor you, to speak up when something no longer fits, to decline invitations to conversations that no longer serve your peace. You're allowed to be unavailable for dysfunction, even if the dysfunction is dressed up as loyalty or as love. You are allowed to say, I love you, but I can't do this anymore. You are allowed to say that that version of me is gone. And I'm bringing her back just, I'm done bringing her back just to make you comfortable. Right? And listen, let's be real. I know that there's this quiet grief that comes with growth. You might miss parts of the old you, right? The way you used to, love without boundaries. The one that said yes just to keep the peace, or the one that showed up even when you weren't okay, right? But can I just be real with y'all for a moment? A lot of what we're missing is rooted in who we were before we even knew better. Before you saw how you were being used. Before you recognized that being available to everyone left little to nothing for yourself. So when people say that you've changed, look them in the eye and say, you're damn right I changed. I have. And I worked hard for this version of me. I fought hard for this version of me. Because this you doesn't over-explain. This you doesn't self-abandon, right? She doesn't beg for crumbs at the table that she built. He's done playing small just to be liked. This version of you rests. She reflects. He chooses peace over people pleasing, right? This version of you allows people to misunderstand them because we know we sleep well at night. This version of you can walk away without guilt, right? We cry when it's necessary, but no longer allow our tears to define who we are. You're not cold, you're just clear. You're not hard, you're just healing. You're not mean, you're just minding your own energy, right? And so let this, part of the episode serve as your permission slip, right? That you don't have to be the person who overextended themselves anymore. You don't have to be the person who accepts love with conditions. You don't have to keep trying to earn space where you were never meant to stay. You don't have to go back because you were never meant to shrink into a version of you that made everybody else comfortable, leaving you on E. You are not who you were, and that is the point. And here are some more truths that I want you to carry with you today. Growth will cost you familiarity, but it will also give you freedom. Peace might feel awkward at first, but it's not punishment. It's provisions. Hey, Miss Sherry. Evolution isn't betrayal. It is becoming. And that healed version of you is the answer to the prayers your past self never had the strength to speak. Hey, Miss Tiffany girl. Thank you, Kale. Kale said you're preaching today, sis. Yeah, it's really time for us to begin to understand, that we're allowed to change. Like I said, seasons change. If you look back to where you started at birth, look how much you've evolved. Look how much you changed. We can't fit inside of our mama's bellies now. We have grown. We have evolved. So it is time for us to stop apologizing for the version of you that is finally at peace. You don't owe anybody an apology for becoming whole. Welcome in, Papa Smurf. I need y'all to hear me. You don't owe anybody an apology for becoming whole. You don't owe them an apology for your boundaries, not for your silence, not for the glow up that they weren't ready for, right? Not for choosing peace over pleasing. You are not obligated to keep showing up as the old you just because that's the version of you that people happen to be the most comfortable with. And if I'm going to be real, some people loved you the most when you loved yourself the least. And that's the hard truth. Some people were only cool with you when you were quiet, when you were soft-spoken and self-sacrificing, when you said yes before they were even finished asking, when your boundaries were flimsy and your voice was shaky, right? But the moment that you started saying, that doesn't work for me anymore, or I'm gonna need a little time to think about that, oh, now you acting funny, right? The moment that you said, I don't have the capacity for that right now, or I'm not available for that energy anymore, oh, now they tell you that you've changed. You're being distant. But guess what? I used to try to shrink myself to be like, no, I haven't changed. It's still me. I'm the same Shantae. No, baby. Now, when they tell me that, I'll be like, guess what? I have and did, right? That change, that's not the problem. That change that I've gone through, the change that they put on me, I own it now because that change is my perfection, my protection, right? That change is my peace manifesting something greater for me. And yeah, sometimes peace will cost you access, but that's okay. Right? So let's just go ahead and say it. Let's just own it. Peace costs something. Peace is not free. We gotta give something up. We gotta lose something. Right? And so when we think about our peace, sometimes it costs you people. Sometimes it costs you habits. Sometimes it costs you approval. Sometimes it costs you access to circles that you once cried and begged to be a part of. But what's the point of being surrounded if you feel suffocated? What's the point of being connected if you're constantly being drained? When you finally start prioritizing your peace, you start realizing how much of your life was built around managing other people's emotions at your own expense. But see, now that you've got a taste of the good life, you done tasted something different, there's no going back, right? Because see, now you done started sleeping through the night. You've started breathing slower, speaking softer, living fuller. You've started hearing your own voice over the noise. That's not selfish. Healing guilt is real, right? And I know that we'll go back and forth from talking about guilt because it is definitely a part of our healing process. And so knowing that the healing guilt is real, I also need us to understand that we don't have to carry it, right? The moment when you say no and feel bad, or, when you rest instead of rescue, and you start to question if that's selfish, or when you finally, get some peace and immediately you feel like I should be doing more, right? I have to do more to deserve this, right? Y'all felt that before. Let me free you right now. You don't have to earn your peace. You just have to protect it. You're not selfish. You are self-aware. You are not distant. You are discerning. You are not cold. You are conserving your energy. Oh, my favorite one. You're not fake, right? You are not fake. You just stopped over-explaining to people who never really listened to you in the first place. Your peace doesn't need to be defended. It only needs to be respected, right? And if somebody can't respect your peace, they're not ready for your presence. I need that to sink in. If a person cannot respect your peace, then they do not deserve your presence. Because my presence is a gift, right? And so if me simply being here, if this version of me cannot show up unapologetically and be valued just for being present, if you cannot recognize that I am the gift, then my presence is not needed. I will not be here. Okay? And, at the end of the day, some people will never understand why you needed to set boundaries, why you chose to walk away, why you changed your phone number again, why you stopped showing up, why you started smiling again without them in your life, right? But you don't have to explain it. Let them wonder. Because this version of you, this healed version of you, doesn't need permission, right? You don't need a cosigner. You don't need applause to know that you're worthy. We fully understand that our growth will offend people who benefited from our lack of it. But we're going to keep growing anyway, right? My peace is not my apology. It's my arrival. So, I've decided that I'm no longer explaining the boundaries that keep me whole. I honestly know that I'm not hard to love. I'm just no longer available for low vibrational relationships. I'm no longer interested in the low hanging fruit. I want the fruit that's growing on the top of the tree, right? I'm not going to take what people give me thinking that is all I deserve. This version of me doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't shrink. I choose, right? I choose. So I'm not going back to chaos just because it's familiar. So if you're listening to this and you've been quietly wrestling with guilt because, you finally have some peace in your life, or if you've been wondering if you're being too distant, too unavailable, too different, I want you to hear this. You are not too much. You are not too healed. You are not too anything. You're just finally at peace. And, the people meant for you will love this version of you without asking you to return to the broken one. Right? So no more apologies, just peace, just purpose, just presence. Protecting our peace is the new self-love, right? And we've talked about not going back. We've talked about not apologizing for our growth. But now I feel like we need to talk about something that we often overlook in this healing work. And, we've got to begin to analyze how we're protecting this peace that we prayed for. See, a lot of us have started healing, right? You just being here right now tells me that you're starting to heal. Thank you, Janelle. Welcome in success. So, we've started healing. We've begun setting boundaries, right? We done let go of some things, and we're showing up and we're choosing ourselves. But then life starts lifing. And before we know it, we're making quiet compromises. Hi, Jade. Right? So we start making quiet compromises, not big ones, y'all, right? Not the ones that are loud and obvious, but the little subtle ones, the little yeses that we didn't really mean. The conversations that we entertain when we know we already tired and we don't even want it. Or the situationships we kept just for now, even though we know that we're no longer aligned. And suddenly you look up and your peace is leaking. You're stretched again. You're drained again. You're second guessing again. But why? See, peace doesn't just arrive, right? Peace doesn't just rain down from the skies. It has to be protected every single day. Like, you have to show up for you every single day. Peace is a daily decision. A daily decision. Protecting your peace is not passive, right? It's choosing to unfollow people who trigger comparison instead of inspiration. Hey, Sherelle. It's choosing to say, I need space, even when other people don't understand it. Or scheduling rest with the same urgency that you schedule hustle. It's letting the phone ring, letting the text go unread, choosing stillness over urgency. And my favorite is choosing to walk away from conversations that try to bait you back into dysfunction. So we've got to understand that sometimes peace sounds like silence. Sometimes it looks like saying no with your chest. Sometimes it's disappointing other people just to stay loyal to yourself. And so at this point, let's just call it what it is, right? Some people aren't coming back into our lives because they miss us. They're coming back because they miss the access to the old version of us. That version that didn't know his or her own worth yet. They don't love the new you. I do, right? But they love that version of you that over-explained. Very pretty. Welcome in, love. They love the version of you that didn't charge for their worth, who bent over backwards for the bare minimum. But again, you don't have to open the doors that God helped you close. You don't have to respond just because they finally noticed that you left the building, right? Now, all of a sudden, you've left. You've walked away from these toxic situations and you're getting all these text messages like, girl, where you been? Friend, I've been gone. Don't just show up now missing me, right? Because we don't have to revisit rooms that our spirit had to shrink in. You can love people and still protect your peace. It's like, I love you, but I can't go back there. I care, but I'm not who I used to be. And I can forgive you, but still restrict access, right? I don't have to reinvite you into my life. That's maturity. Contrary to what society tries to tell you, that's healing. That's self-love in action. And so this week we need to think about, what habits, people, or environments are still threatening our peace. I want you to ask yourself where you are over-functioning to avoid disappointing someone. Where do you need to reclaim your time, your energy, your voice? What part of healing feels the most fragile, and how can you protect it? You don't have to earn peace. You just have to protect it. And, it's important that you protect your peace in a way that you use to protect other people's comfort. We get to release anything that threatens our softness, our stillness, our sanity. Understanding that peace is our birthright. It's not a privilege. And so at this stage of our healing, we are no longer loyal to anything that makes us betray ourselves. Protecting your peace will require you to become someone you've never been. It is going to require you to disappoint some people, to say less, to unplug, to become comfortable in your own silence, to stop chasing closure, and to stop performing for love. And I know that sounds like you're giving up a lot, but I promise you, peace will never require you to sacrifice your sanity, your softness, or your soul. So if you're wondering, am I doing too much? I want you to ask yourself this instead. Does this preserve my peace, or does it pull me back into survival? Because survival was something that we had to do back then. But we're not going back there. Thank you, Papa Smurf. We're not going back there, not mentally, not emotionally, not spiritually. We're protecting this version of us like it's sacred, because it is. And something else that is sacred that I think that we take for granted sometimes is joy. Not just the cute joy that looks cute on Instagram, right? Not those manufactured moments that, make other people proud of us. But I'm talking about real, unfiltered, soul-saturating joy. The kind that you can feel deep in your chest. The kind that makes you laugh without checking to see who's watching you. The kind that shows up when you finally stop bracing for disappointment. One thing that I've learned is that so many of us, especially Black women, feel that joy feels foreign, fragile, sometimes forbidden. Because for years, we've taught ourselves how to survive, but not how to receive, not how to rest, not how to hold joy without guilt, not how to stop apologizing when life is feeling too good. There's this trauma that we've experienced, waiting for the other shoe to drop. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like you finally feel light again, and then you hear a voice in your head that tells you don't get too happy because something is bound to go wrong. Don't celebrate too loudly because people might get jealous. Or don't relax. I got to stay ready. If I stay ready, I ain't got to get ready. Y'all, that's not intuition speaking. That's trauma talking. We've been conditioned to call humility or wisdom, to call it humility or wisdom, right? But really it is a hypervigilance. It's the fear that if we enjoy something too much, we'll lose it. It's the unspoken belief that joy is conditional or temporary. But today I just want to remind you that joy is not a reward. It is the right. It is your right. Your joy is not too loud. Your peace is not too much. Your healing is not an inconvenience. You are not here just to carry burdens. You are also here to taste the sweetness of life, to wake up smiling for no reason, to laugh so hard that your stomach hurts, to dance even when the world is heavy, right? When life is lifing, to feel love that doesn't come with conditions or confusion. So know that you are allowed to outgrow struggle as your default setting. You are allowed to be done with struggle stories. You don't have to prove your strength through constant suffering. You don't have to earn joy by way of pain. You've paid your dues. You've cried your tears. You've done the shadow work, the therapy, the boundaries, the healing. So now what? Now it's time to receive. Receive the joy. Receive the rest. Receive the softness, the love that doesn't ask you to shrink, the life that doesn't feel like you're always playing defense. Ask yourself, do I allow myself to enjoy life without guilt? What makes you feel alive? And how often do you actually choose that? What would I, fully believe, or what would I do, I guess, if I fully believe that I deserve to be happy? Like, what would that look like for me? These are the questions that we should be asking ourselves. And sometimes it means we have to go back a little to find out, who told us that joy was dangerous or temporary or too much. What does soft, joy-filled look like for me, not for them? You're not just here to heal. You're here to live, to flourish, to dance and dream and fall in love with life all over again. You're here to laugh too loud, to love too deep, and to be free for people to be free of the people who were comfortable with your struggle, right? Who got a little too comfortable. Today, I want you to begin to breathe again, to smile again. Let joy find you and allow it to stay with you, because you don't need anyone else's permission to be happy. You're not who you were, and that is the blessing. And the best part of the blessing is that now you get to receive what you once prayed for without guilt. And, understanding that all of this healing that we do, this is all part of the sacred routine of self-love, right? Of healing ourselves one day, one step at a time. I want you to remind yourself that you are the evidence. You are the evidence that healing is real, that evolution is possible, that soft doesn't mean weak, that boundaries are holy, and that survival is not the end of the story. Your transformation is. You are not who you were, not even close. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they haven't met the new you that rose from the ashes yet. The you who stopped breaking her own heart just to comfort other people. The you that finally saw your worth and walked away from anything that didn't reflect it. That version of you that no longer needs chaos to feel needed or struggle to feel strong. You're not too healed. You're not too distant. You are not too much. You are finally aligned. And let me tell you something. This version of you is not up for debate. I want you to stay in your light. Don't dim yourself just because someone else can't handle your glow. Don't apologize for your clarity, for your confidence, for your calm. Don't go back to the version of you who made his or herself small just to feel safe in a room that was never designed for you to expand in. It was never meant for you to grow in that space. You don't owe anyone the you that didn't know better. Hey, Rose. You don't have to revive, the boy or the girl you buried to make other people comfortable. Because here's the truth. Peace looks good on you. Healing looks good on you. Wholeness looks good on you. So protect it. Honor it. Live in it like it's your birthright, because it is. I tell you all the time that your worth was established at birth. You've done the work. You've cried the tears. You've let go, leveled up, leaned in, right? And now you get to receive the life that fits the version of you who finally believes that she's worthy of more. Before I go today, I want to leave you with this. We're in this together, you guys. We are growing together. We are glowing together, one breath at a time, one step at a time. And so for us to begin understanding or accepting, I guess, that you are not who you were, and understanding that that is the blessing. That is the absolute blessing. Like, that's the whole point of it. I'm not who I used to be, and I'm proud that I'm not who I used to be, if that makes sense. We've prayed for this. We've cried so many nights for this. And, it's something that we truly deserve. But we just have to sit back and choose it. We've spent too much time giving to people. And, at this point now, we get to choose different. We get to choose otherwise. So yeah, as always, I tell you guys to keep breathing, stay positive, know that you're going to always be supported here at the Self-Care Club. And so when I tell you, don't be afraid to take up space, I also mean, don't shrink back just because, they don't recognize this new you. Don't apologize for the healing that has made you whole. You're not who you were. And it's okay, because that is the blessing. I encourage you to walk boldly, to rest fully, to protect your peace, because it is sacred. And I want you to know that You are seen, you are valued, and you are loved beyond measure. I love each and every one of you to life, and I pray that you all have an amazing day on purpose, filled with purpose. If you haven't already done so, I encourage you to head over to our website at theselfcareclub.org to grab your affirmative apparel, to stream the healing music, and to tap into the resources that support every stage of you on your journey. And if this episode spoke to your soul today, go ahead and drop some green hearts in the comments. Share this episode with someone who needs a little more room to breathe. And make sure that you give us a follow, subscribe to our channel, so that way you never miss what's next. Because around here, we're growing, we're healing, and we're choosing peace, one breath at a time. Take care of yourselves, guys. Until next time.